Three, two, one, ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 321 Ghost. I'm your host with the silent G, Kyle. And as always, joined by my pal, Natalie. Hey, Natalie. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. Hey, everybody. We're talking about 2025's Final Destination Bloodlines. Um, we never really, I guess it was always some unspoken agreement that if we were doing a franchise series on a franchise that's ongoing,
Hmm.
we never really talked about how soon we'd circle back and do whatever the new one is.
True.
But we were like, well, it's out. You've got the time, we've got the energy, we got the heart, we got the spirit, and we're just like, fuck it, let's do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So this is by that qualification, I think the shortest time between a movie's release and our episode talking about it, which is like what, like a month and change.
By far the shortest amount of time from a movie's release. Like this is the newest release. We're usually, 1998 to what, 2023?
Spoiler alert, we might beat this record next month. We'll
Yeah.
see. There's another
Maybe. We'll
real
see.
real big one coming up. I'm very excited about. So this is the sixth movie in this franchise, and gosh, how long has it been since the last one?
14 years?
Jeez, that's wild. That's bigger than any of the Scream gaps.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I guess you don't need to reboot it necessarily. And I know that there are these, what do they call them? Where they're like reboots, but they're or
Requel.
requels. Right, right. But this one, I mean, I think these movies were already pretty well known for like, yes, having a shared timeline, but I mean, outside of Tony Todd and what's her face, Clea Rivers.
Hmm. And maybe a little bit of history that they throw in, like they'll mention previous characters, but they could really do whatever they want whenever they want, and it will work.
I was just shocked, frankly. I don't know if you got the numbers, but
Uh-huh.
how much fucking bank this
Yeah.
movie is taking in. Like, we're at, I don't know how many have crossed $100 million. Have
It's
any of them?
so I didn't look at the other films and I probably should have. This one had a $50 million budget, which is actually pretty similar to the last two movies, 4 and 5,
Hmm.
inflation aside. But this movie is at currently $273.2 million box office. That's worldwide.
Worldwide. Right.
Hmm.
That's bonkers. I just didn't
That's
know
wild.
these movies. I mean, they always made money, but not like this. I
Hmm.
don't understand what has changed other than maybe, speaking of inflation, we're just in this political climate that is just dour and terrible. So you're like, I just need to see some people just fucking blow up. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think it's a combination of many things. Final Destination movies are good like popcorn flicks. You can
Yeah.
just jump into them anytime and see some fun kills. Who cares about the characters? Who cares about the story? Like, it's all good. You're there for a good time. You may never watch it again, but like it gets butts and seats, like no matter what. I think political climate always positively affects horror in the way that people want to watch scary things that aren't real instead of watching things that are scary that are real. But sometimes it can make bad horror. It can like make decades of bad horror, which we've seen in the past. But it's I think for this movie, I think it's fun and it's easy to bring back without having to have any legacy characters or, this like loyalty to Sidney Prescott or Julie James or wondering if they'll come back or if they'll have a new cast. It's always a new cast. So it's very non-committal. I think that's why this franchise really came back in a really good way.
Do you remember like there were these rumors and maybe he was fucking baiting people and
Hmm.
stoking the flames, but I remember there was some rumors that Devon Sawa would show up.
What? I did not hear those rumors. He was just excited about the movie.
And I don't blame him. I'm
Yeah.
excited about Devon Sawa.
Yeah. I
And we've been
he went to see it opening weekend for sure. Somebody invited him.
and between Chucky and that Valentine's Day movie and some other stuff, like I believe we're in like I'm hoping is just the beginning phase of the what do you call it? The Devon Sawa Renaissance, the Sawanaissance,
I knew you were
you
going to
know?
come up with a stupid combo of Sawa and Renaissance. What did you say? So,
Oh, don't make me try to
Sawanaissance?
say it again. Sawanaissance?
Sawanaissance? Oh, okay. I like
Yeah.
that. Okay. Sawanaissance.
And um but even though like I think it's I don't even know if it was in one of the movies or like a DVD feature on one of the other ones that like explains like oh he had like a pile of bricks fall on his head so he's dead.
Yeah, some off-screen bullshit that wasn't even epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um Another thing that I guess lines up with why this movie's doing so well. So I saw this like the Thursday night, one of the Thursday night previews. I went with my wife, my brother, and his fiance, and he was kind of priming her on these movies. He had only seen like maybe the first one and maybe the second one. He couldn't remember.
Your
And
brother?
yeah, and his fiance had never seen one before. And she's like, oh, I'm just here to hang out.
I'm really surprised by that.
And I'm like, okay, well, it can be a little, I mean, it's goofy, but it's all
She
the whole
she's
point
she's
is the
up for
gore.
it.
100%.
I've talked about horror with
So
her before.
it's just interesting that like yeah I think a lot of people like this might even just be their first time watching this movie and then now they go back and watch them wherever they're streaming or they have
Mm-hmm.
like the whole 4K collection like I do. um it was it was weird. It was like revisiting an old friend. It was like how I felt
Yeah.
watching no maybe not how I felt watching Scream 4
It's
for
more
the first time in
serious.
theaters because that was like a holy it's like it was Scream 4 that was like people seeing the Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
after however many years between Star Wars movies. Like
Yes.
only I would argue Scream 4 is a better film than Phantom Menace, but I don't think a lot of
One
people are dying on that hill.
100% I'll die on that hill.
But that's the other thing without going too off brand is younger people really have this affinity for those prequel Star Wars movies. And I guess it's just like whatever Star Wars you had growing up, I guess that's your Star Wars. And a lot of people are just like, we need more Count Dooku. We need to talk more trade policy. And I'm just like, I don't. Though I guess it maybe primed them. I don't know. So I like and then Hugh Grant's doing his Jar Jar Binks impression in that one movie. Oh my God, I love it.
In Heretic.
Yeah. So I don't know. Never mind. Don't worry about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Um,
I this movie also like captured a young audience too. Like it's not just people our age who are like, we were the teenage crowd when these movies were coming out. So the a lot of the people that went to see this movie were 25 and under, which I was really surprised by that statistic.
it's wild, just time, Natalie. Even the star of this movie, Caitlin Santawana, was like a year and a half, 2 years old when the first movie came out,
Mhm.
and you're just like, I mean, I guess it takes death that long to circle back, and then
To go back
some. I don't
go
know.
back and watch the movies and be like, what franchise even is this?
How are you feeling going into seeing this movie? Because you saw it, I think, earlier that day.
Yeah, we saw it the same day. I I was very excited just for another one. No matter if I give these movies a shitty boo score or a great boo score, I don't think any of them have like fantastic boo scores, but I will always go to see it in the theater 100% the weekend it comes out. Absolutely. So, although it's not my favorite franchise, it is something that I will continue to see. I want them to keep making them however many different ways they want to make them. So I was really excited to see it, but I will say seeing and you know how I feel about hype. And if you all don't know how I feel about hype, there's something about when people are just raving saying that something is a perfect movie that I'm like, Oh, you want to fucking bet? You want to bet? Because this movie is a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, and many of my favorite movies aren't even fucking close to that. So I get real bitter real quick. So I went into this with my very hypercritical lens. Because
Daggers out.
if a shitty movie is a shitty movie, I'm down for the ride. If a shitty movie is trying not to be a shitty movie, that can bother me. I'm not saying this is a shitty movie. I think this is a fun movie, but I'm surprised that people who don't typically give horror a lot of praise are like, wow, Final Destination Bloodlines is just changing the game. It's not, to be clear.
Because literally it's the sixth time we've been doing it. But yeah, I think I'm conflicted, and I'll share more later. But I think that this is getting better reviews for a number of reasons. And I think one is this this is objectively a better made film from top to bottom than any of the other movies. Like the way that it is directed, the writing, the cast, like this is the best acting I've seen in any one of these movies by a
I
mile.
I agree with all of those things.
So I think that is all. So people that maybe would review this, like, of course, you've got like the
Hmm.
horror aficionados that are always going to like be like, the gore's great. This is what we're looking for. The scares are good. It's a fun
Hmm.
ride. And then you've got all the other people, the normies, that are just like, well, this is still schlock. But in this case, I
Hmm.
mean, I do think that there is a better attention to quality, I think, with this movie than some of the others.
I
But it
absolutely
feels,
agree.
but because of that, it feels so
Boring.
disjointed from the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but
But I mean, a 14-year gap, I think that also gives you the ability to do those things and kind of disconnect yourself from the rest of the series in a way that makes sense. If this was a sequel a year later from part five, I think it wouldn't land as well because people are expecting a different tone than what we got. But because it's so long after, you can almost rebrand it without it being a reboot or a requel. It kind of just picks up where it needs to pick up, and you get that better direction, that better acting, um, a longer runtime for some reason, like just all the things that you would expect out of a horror movie that's of like a higher pedigree, I guess you could say. But it's still a Final Destination movie. So, as much as I love these movies, I think there's there's a lot to be said of like things that I think could have been done differently, or I would have liked to see more or less of, if that makes sense.
before we get too ahead of ourselves, of course, this is a franchise series. And what would it be without some fun roles? Would you
Yes.
mind reminding everybody for like really the third episode in a row? Well, we didn't do as much with Friday the 13th, but do you mind reminding everybody real quick, what are our franchise series rules?
Of course. This is a little different too because it's been a minute since we've talked about Final Destination. I will give everyone a reminder that we have episodes for Final Destination through Final Destination 5. So if you have not watched those movies and listened to those episodes, now's your chance. Now's your chance to pause because we're going to spoil all of those possibly. They're all fair game.
Or
So
you
we
can be
can
like,
spoil.
or you can be like my future sister-in-law and just dive right in to part six. I don't know.
Yeah, that I'll talk to her about that. But I I really recommend just watching all of them because there's a lot of references to those films in this film, which I think are fun when you see them. Um, Also, if you haven't watched this movie, you know who you are if you're listening. if you haven't watched this movie, please watch it before we talk about it because these movies are fun for the element of surprise and the unexpected, and we'll spoil all of that. So it's it's a fun movie to watch without knowing what you're going to see. So that's the first thing. We will spoil all of the movies in the franchise, possibly. We'll share our favorite kill, which we had done in the previous film. So we'll share our favorite kill of the film. Um, we'll try to save that for the end. Sometimes it gets spoilery of what our favorite might be when we're describing them, but this one has a lot of fun ones. We'll also share our boo scores as always, and then we'll update our franchise rankings. Keeping in mind, we cannot update our boo scores per Kyle, but we can update our rankings. So that's that's the rules.
Also, just want to shout out our fantastic followers on Instagram that rightfully sided with my ranking over yours
God damn
thus
it.
far.
I was trying to avoid that, but you want to talk about it?
Y'all are doing heroes work, and I appreciate you. I feel validated and seen. Thank you.
Here's the thing. Kyle is the nice one. So I understand why your ranking is the more popular ranking. Everyone loves Final Destination 2. Don't get me wrong. What? Go ahead.
It is, I think the world has started to come around to Final Destination 2. And I'm going to be talking about that movie quite a bit as we're talking about Bloodlines, because
That's fine.
Bloodlines also recognizes how fucking rad part two is.
Yes, and
And it was
it
not,
takes a lot from part 2 as well.
and it was not always that way. But you know who was there the whole time?
Oh God.
This guy riding behind the log truck. It's terrible.
Part 2 is definitely unique in the way that it has the best opening scene. Like it's memorable. People know it. People love it now. I don't know if they did then, but I went really hard on part 2, admittedly. And having watched the rest of them after, I was like, damn, maybe that one wasn't the worst one. But fine. If y'all love Kyle's ranking more, that's fine. Whatever. I think the other hot take was that I put part 3 last, and I
Yeah.
I some of that might change. I might get a little wild. I don't usually change switch up my rankings too much, but I might have some surprises. But I appreciate other people sharing their rankings.
I know, I love it. Yeah, please
Yeah.
continue if you haven't
Yeah.
yet. And then let us know if I don't know if the rankings have included this one yet that people have shared with us, but please tell us where you're at in this one.
Yeah, the rankings that funny enough that people did share did not include this film because I did not include this film in our rankings. So I'll update it and share our new rankings. And it's not a contest. So, you know, I might be a little competitive, but it's not a contest. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Thank you. As cor Even if they're incorrect like
Even
yours,
if
and that's
your
okay.
even if your opinion is incorrect and whack and aligned with Kyle's, no one's bitter.
Yeah. So this movie is directed by Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein. So Zach Lipovsky, um, a lot of them did like Disney Channel stuff, but this
Yeah.
guy, if I get his name right, Zach Lipovsky, he's a child actor and starred in at least a couple episodes of Goosebumps.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Love that.
Yeah,
Um,
good for him.
the screenplay is Guy Busick.
Hmm.
Can we say maybe industry legend Guy Busick? A lot of it's very recent in the last 15 years, but Natalie,
Absolutely, he
obviously
gets industry legend.
this guy's been working with Radio Silence, doing
Hmm.
both Ready or Not films, Scream
Hmm.
5, Scream 6. Um, he also did a couple. This is not the first time I've mentioned the Ted McGinley show, or John C. McGinley show.
Hmm.
Ted McGinley, ha, I love him too. John C. McGinley show, Stand Against Evil. He wrote some
Hmm.
episodes of that. Good on him.
Yeah, and Abigail.
And Abigail, yes. So all the Radio
Hmm.
Silence movies, and
Yeah, he gets an industry legend for sure. He's got a good resume.
John Watts did the story for this with both Guy Busick and Laurie Evans Taylor. Um, John Watts, he's super famous now for doing those last
Hmm.
few Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
I don't know why he was like, maybe he
Let
was
me
like,
let me hop onto this.
yeah, he's like, I only did Spider-Man to get me to this. You know, it's like how people take on their big budget stuff, just so they can do like their like personal projects. And his
Yeah,
was Final Destination. I hope.
that's what we'll say.
Yeah. So I've mentioned her already. This movie stars Caitlin Santa Wana as, oh my gosh, what's her name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie, that's it.
Hmm.
Um, Tio Briones as her brother. Do you remember him and what he's from?
Yeah, he was in the season one of the Chucky series
Love
as the
it. Good
most
for him.
annoying character. He definitely follows through with that.
Wow, I disagree because I do like their relationship.
Oh, we'll get there.
Um, yeah. You've got Richard Harmon chewing up scenery when he's in it,
Yeah.
as Eric. You've got Owen Patrick Joyner, who just looks like the most just
Who's just a
sad,
walking
hopeless.
peanut allergy.
I, just the faces he makes, he just looks so sad
He's
and
good.
defeated. I feel like he, very similar to some other instances in this franchise, I feel like he he looks like he's like 26, but is supposed to be like playing 15.
He reminds me of in Final Destination, Sean William Scott's character.
A little bit. Yeah, just that kind of really like well-meaning but sweet, kind of airheaded, kind of.
Yeah, like just the boy who doesn't want to die and is just like, what the fuck do I need to do to get out of this?
Yeah. Anna Laurie, Breck Basinger, unrelated. Um, and then of course, the only actor that is returning for this movie is the beautiful, wonderful late industry legend Tony Todd.
Yes.
Um, we'll probably share more a little bit when if we want to talk about his scene in particular, because it is really funny for a number of reasons.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot. There's a lot.
I love this man. He is our first platinum or no, like industry legend award winner.
Hmm.
Passed away, of course, this year, shortly before the movie came out. And yeah, he's awesome. He's great. It's wild. Like even in, his older state where you can tell he's much thinner.
He was pretty sick by the time this
Yeah.
was filmed. Like he was knowing that he was going to die soon, like
But
filming this. So
his like, gosh, his voice is just so commanding. And
it
so
is.
it's just thrilling just to see him one more time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll talk more about his voice later.
He was also in there was an Indiana Jones game that's pretty good that came out at the end of last year. I think now it was on Xbox originally, now PlayStation now, but he's in it and he's great. He does like
Hmm.
motion act, capture, and he's like one of like
Wow.
the main characters. So
Good
it's
for
very
him.
cool watching him romp around with Indiana Jones. I was like, where was this movie? You know?
Yeah. Wait, let's course correct.
Yeah, I get yeah, like having Sean Connery's cool, but like Tony Todd is his
Hmm.
pal. I love that.
Fun. Hmm.
Geez. The other thing, with this movie, because I watched this in a movie theater, taking
Hmm.
notes on a notepad like a
Yeah.
fucking dork.
Yeah.
There are
We
kids
but
behind
we
me.
both we both only seen this movie twice.
Yeah. So I am not going to go beat by beat through this plot.
No.
I think we can spare you all that, and I think that there's enough things we can pull from just to talk about in terms of
Hmm.
characters, kills, all of that. And yeah, it's funny. I'm just sitting with like my like composition book and my pen, and it's really hard to write in the dark. So I was just kind of writing, thinking like, I hope my hand's moving in the way that I want it to be.
Was it? Did
Um,
you like stay on the lines?
no, not at all. My notes are just absolute, just it's a lot. Sometimes it looks
Yeah.
good.
If any other podcasters are listening and you do episodes on new releases often, maybe give us some hints, tips, and tricks on how you take notes when you're watching these movies because Kyle went the notepad route because he was trying to be respectful. The man used to work in a movie theater, so
Don't pull a phone
he doesn't
out
want
in
his
a movie
phones
theater.
out. But guess what? some of us, it's me, bought a ticket for like the back corner of the theater and had their phone out to take notes on dark mode with the brightness down in the back corner with my phone not facing anybody, so hopefully I wasn't disturbing anyone. But next to a group of teenage boys that were playing video games on their phone and chatting the whole time. So I didn't feel like I was disturbing them at all.
I don't know how you feel about movie theaters in general, but I mean, I worked at a movie theater for a bit, it was my first job
Hmm.
a long time ago. But I mean, movie theaters are gross. They're
Hmm.
expensive.
Hmm.
Um, I don't care what Tom Cruise and Christopher Nolan tell me about like, oh, this is the absolute way to watch a movie. I'm like, well, you know what? Then theaters need to like do their
Step it
part of
up.
the bargain because no, thank you. I go into a movie though with the expectation that people are going to be loud and obnoxious and try
Hmm.
to distract me during this movie.
Hmm.
I might possibly, I don't know, violence may break out at any minute. Who knows? Um,
Sounds like your movie going experiences have been a lot more interesting than mine.
little bit. Or they'll just, it doesn't matter how fucked up the movie is, someone will show up with their, you know, two preschoolers and a baby in a stroller. And don't get me wrong, good on them. Those people I don't have a problem with.
They're prepping those kids, they're grooming them.
I remember seeing Bring Her Back, the movie from the Talk to Me people,
Hmm.
and bringing my wife, and this family comes in with all these kids and strollers, multiple
What?
strollers, Natalie.
They must have
And
been
I'm
too
like,
young to even comprehend what the movie was.
and she just like groans, and I'm just like, no, actually, good on them. As long as they're kind, and when the baby started crying, one of them pushed the stroller outside,
Yeah.
but the rest of the kids were all quiet and just enjoyed it.
I've never been to a horror movie and seen kids that weren't like or that were like stroller aged or like preschool aged. I've only ever seen like bigger kids, like maybe from like 8 and up, like they know how to watch a movie and be respectful. But I feel like I would much rather watch a movie at home so I can pause and be comfortable and all those things. But when it comes to horror, I do love to watch it in the theater for the first time if I can. The theater seats are gross. Like I was wearing shorts, and can I just tell you, it's the first time
Ugh.
I know, it's the first time I've worn shorts at a movie theater in ages. And boy, did I regret that immediately because I was sitting in one seat and I decided to move over a seat and I could feel the texture change on the seat. I don't even know how to describe it to all of you, but it felt different. And so I just went back to the other seat, which still didn't feel great, but it felt better than the second seat. And yeah, they are gross, but there's something about movie theaters that I do feel very comfortable in them. I feel very at home in them. I like that it's a place where I can just like I know a lot of people don't do this, but I love to see movies by myself. So I feel
Me
like it's
too.
a place where I can just shut the fuck up, turn off my brain, not look at my phone, and just put myself into whatever fucked up movie I've chosen to watch that week. So, um, I really I love seeing things in the theater, especially these fucking movies. Like nothing compares to seeing a Final Destination movie in the theater.
It's true. Though I don't remember if no, this couldn't have been the first one I've seen in theaters. It's just been so long. I must
You
have
were
seen.
working in the theater when a lot of these movies came out,
Mm,
past
true.
what, like 2003 or 4?
I know
So
I've
at least
definitely
three
seen
of
like
them.
the third one, and maybe the fourth and fifth. Hmm. Okay.
I think I saw all of them in the theater.
So I don't think there's any better way to hop into this movie than to talk about this opening. Right. Obviously, a hallmark of
Hmm.
these movies is you start with this big set piece where
Hmm.
it's just the wildest shit happens, everyone dies, and then you find out it's a premonition that someone's been
Hmm.
having. Um, how do you feel about this opening?
Well, I will say this opening is a lot longer than the others.
Yeah.
It's got definitely much longer than the others. So that's one of the first things that I noticed. Um, as far as openings to Final Destination movies go. What I have come to expect and love about them is a new fear unlocked or an old fear just like throwing salt
Rekindled.
on a wound. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's what I like about these opening scenes. Now, would you ever find me in a building that tall with glass floors? No,
No.
absolutely not. I'm not going in there. This is an easy thing to avoid. It's not happening for me. So that was a huge letdown for me, like right off the bat, I will say. Not that it's not a fun opening scene. I think there's some fun deaths. I think there's a lot of really fun stuff in here. But overall, I was disappointed that it wasn't something that was a little bit more everyday or relatable. I feel like a lot of people could avoid this experience very easily. The same like with the NASCAR situation.
Right. And,
H-
you
How
know,
about you?
it's strange because, okay, I live in the Pacific Northwest. People listen to this show know this. Um, it's weird to come up with this fake building
Uh-huh.
that exists in a nondescript looking kind of Pacific Northwestish city,
Yeah, there's a
just with
bunch of
all the
fucking
trees.
trees. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and this building that is shaped almost exactly like the Space Needle,
Yep.
but it's not the Space Needle.
No, it's the sky
And
view.
this is a weird one where it's like, I don't know, like you come up with this fake building to introduce this chaos.
Hmm.
So I've been to the top of the Space Needle
I
with
know.
your
With my
mother-in-law,
mother-in-law.
actually.
Yes,
Yeah,
she
she was
never stops talking about it. You're her favorite person ever because of that.
because I'm a great date and I appreciate her. She paid my way to the top and got me brunch. Very kind.
Aw, and you
Um,
survived.
and I survived.
Yeah.
So
Are the floors glass though?
no,
No. Like there's no glass dance floor.
but there are buildings that you can go to the top of that have like a part where it's glass floors
Mhm.
where you can like stand on or whatever,
Fuck that
whatever.
shit.
I don't know if it's like the CN Tower. I'm not sure. One of them does.
There's a
But
few.
do you go? Have you ever been? Like, what's the tallest building you've like been in?
Mm.
Have you done any like the famously tall ones?
No. So the tallest building I've been in was probably when I was like a tween in New York. And I don't remember which building it was. It was like a field trip. And I honestly wasn't paying attention. I was just like, why are we here? Why are we doing this? Didn't listen to why. But I remember being in an elevator, like we had to go up in like groups because they could only fit so many of the kids in the elevator and just feeling like it was the longest elevator ride ever. And it wasn't so much the height that gave me the anxiety, it was being in that elevator for so long, knowing that we were still going up. Once we were up, it wasn't like glass floors or anything like that, like we were inside, but it was really high. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't remember how high, and I don't remember what fucking building it was, but it obviously was important if they were taking a bunch of middle schoolers there. And that's the tallest building I've ever been in. And maybe Vegas. Like maybe a hotel in Vegas too. Those aren't as tall though as like
Okay.
skyscrapers, but
Not
like
as tall as like, yeah, like maybe, I don't know. I would have guessed it's probably the Empire State Building you were probably in. I
maybe.
don't know.
I feel like I
I've
would
been in,
remember if it was the Empire State Building.
I've been there, and yeah, that is a tall ass fucking building. No, thank you.
Hmm.
I don't like being in really tall buildings because it's the tallest building in Seattle. It's not the Columbia building. That was like one of the original West Coast skyscrapers, but it's not very tall
Mm.
comparatively now. But I went to the top of the tallest building in Seattle, which is not the Space Needle, and I've been, top of that too. But what I don't like about being in buildings that high is you can like feel the building
Hmm.
move
Hmm.
up top there.
You can
And
feel that in a two-story building. So
uh,
like you can really feel it when you get higher and higher and higher. I don't like
so,
that.
so yeah, you're telling me to get to the top of this building already I don't want to do. There's glass on the floor and people are like dancing and stomping on it.
No. What a
The
song
f-
choice.
I love where this fucking elevator bellhop dude. Fuck this
I
guy.
fuck that
This
guy.
the sign says 8 people. Did you not just start counting when they went up? I was like, I need to
Yeah.
count how many people are in
Oh,
this
how many
goddamn
people were in
elevator.
there? I didn't count.
At least 12 or more.
Yeah, he needs to fuck right off because he counts as a person too. Like, and also don't force someone to squeeze into that elevator because it's like right on the glass and you know that they have like that crazy view. Mm-mm.
Oh wait,
Terrible.
no thank you. Ah,
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's I think what works for me with this opening scene, since I talk some shit on it, the music is really fun. They choose very selectively, it's very Final Destination. They didn't have a song that carried through the whole movie, like the same song, but they play a bunch of songs that are about death or fire or whatever it is. They play the raindrops keep falling on my head right as the bodies all start falling out of the building. Like
Wrong
that.
decade, but I almost was about to say Ring of Fire, It's Raining Men.
That would have been a good one, but yeah, that was too soon. Um, yeah, and I think young Iris is fine as a character. I forget her fiance's name. He's fine. Um, but the whole situation that they're in is cute and like, they made that fun. But I think what really stands out to me is this little fucking boy with this penny.
Yeah, I don't remember this whole like penny, through line
Really?
in
You
other
didn't notice it the
movies.
first? Oh no, the penny's new.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Oh yeah, they
penny's
make it so obvious in this one.
yeah.
Um, fuck that little like young Sheldon little motherfucker.
He's
Like,
such a little prick. I would have just pushed him right off and been like, "Ooh,
yeah,
problem solved."
dude. Just think, all of that would have been avoided if you just kill the kid. Hmm, that's the whole
Yeah,
thing.
he.
I oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I hear you. I'd say okay. So it's pretty long, but at the same time, I kind of like that because you're really like really reintroducing everybody to the franchise again. So having
Hmm.
this kind of long, drawn out opening, it's like how Scream does it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's yeah, I don't know if I liked the location. Um I I took a note where it starts. So because we basically, it's basically all these wealthy people at like the opening of the
Hmm.
Skyview building and restaurant. So like already I just wrote like fuck the rich, who cares? Let them all die.
But you
Honestly.
still have all the like the servers and the musicians and like all of them have to die as well.
Maybe save the band. Everybody
Yeah,
else,
the
who cares?
band the band was on and popping too, but
Yeah.
I think what does work for me with this
I guess
opening.
you do have a through line theme song, and it's that, is the song just called Shout?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So the other thing that I think, like you said, it's reintroducing the franchise. They do a good job of establishing for maybe people who haven't seen these movies before that no one is safe. Even if we emotionally attach you to these characters, I'll use the singer slash mother of young William Bloodworth. They show this like touching moment of her, like talking with him and she hides him in the little, casing. But then you also see her fucking face sizzle off and burn after
Yeah.
seeing like this is a mother. That child watched his mother fucking incinerate. And I think it sets the stage for like no one is safe. We don't care if you're a child. We don't care if you're an old woman. We don't care if you're a mother. Like everybody's fair game. Everybody dies, which is an ongoing theme of these movies too.
I like the deaths. I also wrote, so okay, like I said, these are just a bunch of rich people outside of the help and outside of Iris and her
Hmm.
fiance. Well,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, what the
potentially
fuck was this
fiance.
guy's name?
I don't know. He just gave me vibes like he's like fucking like I forget his name, but Ebenezer Scrooge's like
Paul.
nephew. Yeah, in the Muppet Christmas Carol. It's very specific,
It
but
is very specific.
watch it and let rewatch it again and let rewatch both
Okay.
movies as a pair, and
Perfect.
then let
A
me know
double
what you think.
feature. Okay.
Yeah. And first of all, like I don't know, maybe it's just because of the 50s. I don't think you can get away with having a blindfolded woman in your car for that long. I just
It's
feel
the
like someone
60s.
60s, sure.
I don't
I
know
feel
that
like someone would be like,
anyone
hmm.
I don't know that anyone would have noticed. And I would never. I fucking hate surprises. I
I was thinking about that during
hate
that scene. I was like, you would hate
surprises.
this.
Hate it. If like blindfolds are fine, but not in the context of fucking surprises. Like I don't want to be like, "Oh, we're going somewhere." Like surprise. No, I need to know how to dress. Like even when she's like, "Am I underdressed?" I felt that. I was like, I would be so fucking furious.
And of course, the dude's like, oh, you look great. Don't even worry. And you're like,
I'm sure he believes that too. Like he's being genuine, but like
but mm-mm,
they're in like
mm-mm.
fucking gowns. Like the those richer women, like they're in gowns. Like she is underdressed. And that's why that fucking what do you call them? Not a host. They're like they have a special name when it's a fancy restaurant. Maitre d',
Sure.
is that right?
Yeah, maybe.
That like he looks at them like, ooh, like what are these two doing here? Because she is underdressed.
Yeah, I know. Poor
No
guy.
surprises.
Um, these deaths are all pretty good though. You know, like I did like finally watching all of this glass crack and everyone just fall right through.
That was really fun seeing them go through nice and quick too. I
Yeah.
one thing though that was missing from this like glass fall, you do see some people hit those bars on the way down,
I feel
which
like everybody, like you could not fall down without smashing your head on one of those bars on your way down. I love
yeah,
that.
these movies are known for that. Like they've done it a couple times, but I think with this one, I feel like we didn't get as close up with it, which was kind of a bummer. I feel
Hmm.
like we've gotten more close-up shots in past movies, so I did miss that, but they make up for it because when the bodies are raining from the sky and just splattering on the ground with the like the what do you
It's
call them?
Raining
The
Men.
valet. The
Yeah.
valet are like looking, yeah, it's raining men.
I was thinking some of the valet guys would like get crushed by a body falling on them.
That would have been fun too, but I feel like they probably got out of there okay.
I hope so.
I mean, they could have just drove
So,
off with anybody's car and been fine.
yeah, I you got two good piano smashes. Love that.
Hmm.
Um, and a child death. Love
Ugh,
that. Love that
I
kid.
love that he's such a dick and he's like so happy that he made it, and then just that fucking piano.
Which that was like, oh, okay. So this movie still has that Final Destination like sense of humor that
Yes.
like that very cartoonish like, ugh, I made it, and then just like boom. I feel like a lot of people like get killed like halfway
Yes.
through celebrating that they're alive.
They also they started off with a good like it goes back and forth between having subtle humor and very like obvious silly humor, but one of the first things that I thought was so funny is when the elevator operator says that they finished building it 5 months ahead of schedule. That's way too ahead of schedule. If he would have said 2 weeks, I would be impressed. 5 months, and then Iris goes, "Is that a good thing?"
Yeah, the only way I feel good is that if it's 5 months behind schedule.
Mhm.
I have been
We were doing
involved.
inspections. We're fucking, testing shit out. We're making sure that pennies can't break fans internally. Like, what the fuck?
I was part of a capital project in a last bill or in a last job that I was in, and yeah, shit always takes longer than they
Hmm.
say every single time. So when shit gets done early, you're like, "Hmm, what corners
Yeah.
did you cut?" And I remember sometimes like they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we were able to cut this corner." I'm like, "Do you need to though? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Can we not?" So
Yeah. Having worked in and out of different stores in different malls in and out of retail, it always looks great when you first open ahead of schedule or on time, and then it's months later that you're like, "Oh shit, this isn't properly attached. Oh, this doesn't work. This outlet doesn't go to anything." Like there's like weird shit that you'll find later and you're like, "What else isn't put together properly? Like are those fans reinforced into the ceiling? Like do we even know?" So I think about that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I know our issue was there were no outlets in the bottom floor, and they were like surprised when, so it was like a shelter,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Oh yeah, you can't take a shower and run laundry at the same time." And I'm like,
No, are you kidding?
"Okay. This is like a building for like 30 people to like live in. Are you
Yeah.
sure?" Can't really
Yeah.
do that, buddy.
That's
But
insane.
it's super
Yeah.
insane. Maybe not as insane as they're like, look, everything else is a little just like put together with duct tape and such and some loose screws, but we have the strongest elevator door humanly possible. Obviously, you
Oh,
get
good. I'm
you, you
glad.
get you get your 13 ghost death with just from the other angle. So now I love that. You get
Yes.
someone sliced by an elevator glass door all sorts of ways. I love that.
Yeah. In this opening scene, that is my favorite kill. And seeing it the second time, I got a much better look at it because I knew it was coming. The first time I watched it, I feel like it like flashed before my eyes. And then this time I was really paying attention because I was like, "Oh, I want to see this motherfucker get cut in half by that elevator." Those doors looked really shaky when, they
Right.
couldn't get them shut. I'm like, if they're barely even shutting, they probably don't have that much power, but whatever. I'll take it. It's a fun kill. I think that the little boy getting smashed by the piano is great, but that elevator kill might be my favorite CGI in this movie compared to some
Yeah.
of the rest of it. I think it looks the best.
And it isn't as much of a kill, but both times when I watched this movie, you could feel the like anxiety when it's just Iris and little
Mm-hmm.
baby Tony Todd left, and they fall out and it
Mm-mm.
catches her ring.
Mm-mm.
Oh, and you can see the skin start
'Cause
to
it was too
peel off.
small.
Yeah, but I mean, it was the only thing that, well, I don't
It held
know.
them for a second, but like it degloved her finger of her skin.
Oh,
Like both times watching that, I just like you just like hold your hands. Like
that,
it's and you
that
can hear
reminds
everyone
me,
in the audience. Like everyone in the theater is like, "Oh."
that reminds me of a friend of mine who was, um, like water skiing,
Oh my gosh, I know who you're talking about. I remember this.
and the line, like, he crashed or whatever, as you usually do, right? And but the line like wrapped around his thumb and just
Mm-mm-mm.
ripped it all off. So when he, I guess when he raised his hand up, and this is just how I remember the story. It could be wrong, but he raised his hand up and he just saw like just exposed, just
Just
bone
the
up to the,
bone.
but a
Hmm.
bone up to the knuckle of your
Yep.
thumb, and then everything
Yep.
else
Yep.
is gone up top. The rest is just fish food.
I would
Like,
pass out of shock, if not pain. Like, yeah. I
yeah,
remember when I heard that story, you probably told it to me, but I did also know this person and saw him after this incident. But I have to say, I've never had any interest in water skiing to begin with, but after that, you you won't catch me on a water ski. Like that is such a terrifying story. And that could happen to anyone. Like it's not that freak of an accident, I'm sure.
yeah. Well, I related to him because so we were in a band together and he played drums, and
You
well,
need thumbs for drums, and
yeah,
he'll
you
make it
do.
work.
Well, basically what you do is, your standard grip, right? Like
Hmm.
when you're just playing like rock pop tunes, when you're kind of just holding it just like a grip, like a fist. I think what he did was like go to
Like
more
a
of like a
different finger.
yeah, like kind of like more of like a jazz,
Like a,
what they do, where it's almost
yeah.
like holding like a chopstick or something, but switching to more of
Interesting.
like a jazz grip. And then I related to that because I remember when I got in a gnarly car wreck and my hands got smashed up, and my left hand still like fingers get all crooked and shit. And I remember them telling me how hard it'd be to play like guitar and piano, and I'd had to like really figure out ways to cheat around my limitations and how I was able to
Hmm.
play.
Hmm.
Because there are just some things that like I could do before that accident that I can't do anymore.
Hmm.
And or I've figured out like kind of a way to kind of fake it around, you know.
Hmm.
So but yeah, so watching that finger thing go, it was reminding me of that. Um, how do you feel? Um, one particular interesting part about this opening is that it is now a canon backstory for William Bloodworth. How do
Ooh,
you
you
feel
want
about
to
that?
go to that? You want to
Yeah.
get to that? Um, I think we could just talk about Tony Todd and William Bloodworth as a character overall. I didn't need it. I needed Tony Todd, and I needed him to be in this movie.
Mhm.
But I didn't need him to have a backstory. One of the most appealing things about William Bloodworth was that you had no idea how the fuck this guy fit into Death's plan, if he was an accomplice, if he was a Reaper. Like you kind of just, and he was so mysterious and not always helpful. I feel if he had had this backstory all along, he would be a much more helpful character in earlier films. So it feels like we evolved and changed this character just to be kinder. Um, and I didn't need it, but I needed Tony Todd in the movie. I appreciate I appreciate him. You mentioned his voice earlier. I appreciate him going low because I had watched him in an interview about this movie before he passed away, and his voice does not naturally sound like that anymore. Like he lost a lot of the strength in it. So I think he was really like going deep with it to he's known for that presence that his voice has. Like if you've ever watched Candyman, that fucking voice is the shit that nightmares are made out of, but is also super duper hot. So it's it's very confusing, but
I'll let you
amazing.
spit bees on me all day.
Yeah, exactly. Give me the bee stings. Um, but one of the really fun facts about this scene that he's in is after he stands up, so he's sitting in the chair, he collects his things because he gives that backstory of him and Iris and how, they've kept track of Death's plan, etc. Um, After he stands up, everything that he says is actually his own words that he improvised, that the director said, Tony, like, I want you to exit this franchise the way you want to, like, say what you want to the audience. And so I didn't know that the first time I watched it, but I was sobbing the first time that I
Aw.
saw it. I can't even tell you, like, and I knew as soon as he came on screen, I felt my whole body get stiff and just had chills because I knew it was the last new scene that I would ever see of Tony Todd, like, of something that he's created. So I was sobbing and I didn't stop crying until about 10 minutes after that scene. So the first watch of this was really hard for me. I didn't cry the second time. But what he says is very sweet, very impactful, very just lovely. And it also just fits the theme of this movie. It's like, are you really going to just try to fight death the whole time? Everyone's going to die. You never know when, you never know how. If you're lucky, you make it to a nice, cozy bed when you're elderly, but they're trying to avoid death and just not living up until the point that they die. So I appreciate that he's like, I'm just going to enjoy the time that I have left while y'all fucking die off one by one.
Yes, and um I guess I like, okay, I get that. Yeah, live life to the fullest. Yes, you don't know how much time you have left, just make the most of it. I just don't want to be like split in half by an MRI machine. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
don't want like to be crushed by a garbage truck. Like, can you just like give me like a fucking just brain embolism or something? Why does death have to do this? Why does it have to be so petty?
Okay. You remember the guy who dies from his butt getting sucked into the pool?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's a great example of someone who, okay, terrible death. sounds awful, but everybody got a terrible death. But at least he was hanging out by the pool. He got fucked before he died. Like he was enjoying every minute up until the butt sucking. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I would rather do that than go chasing around trying to save everybody.
But that was his whole thing, his
No,
character
that's what he
in
said. He's like,
4.
I'm just gonna enjoy my life. Yeah, good for him.
I thought that scene was funny with Tony Todd, for a number of reasons. One, because first of all, I don't know what employee was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, here you go. Just walk down to the morgue. Here's how you have access." Well,
I love that.
someone's actively like
Cutting into a body.
cutting into a body, and
And there's
I
a light
like
on that says autopsy in progress, a lit up light, and they just burst through that door
they get to burst through the door, have this conversation with Tony Todd. Tony Todd just says, "Okay, see y'all later." Leaves it like I guess
in
he's
the middle of his shift.
retiring. He, in the middle of his shift, just gets up and leaves.
He knows
Not
he's
like
gonna
he's
die. Who cares?
that other person in the room performing the autopsy is like this fucking guy.
Here he goes again with random visitors.
Yeah. And Tony Todd and the dude performing the autopsy both leave, and these characters are all having this conversation while there's still a body with an open gaping thing just right behind them on the bed. They just let them have this conversation, and they're like, "Oh yeah, hey, you take the time you need, and we're just gonna
Yeah.
go." The dude's already dead on the table. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I did think that that was really funny too. He's like, what the fuck? Like, do all of you want? What? But I'm glad that you brought up um William Bloodworth and his history because the other thing that this scene establishes, which I think is important to address now, even though, we'll go through the characters, is the rules that stay consistent in this film from other films. I think they picked the best ones.
Like I said, I appreciate that this movie recognizes that two is the best one and makes the most
Cheers.
sense. I like how it's just very clear where he's like, all right, it's the rules from 2 and 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the rules from 2 and 5. So you've got the rule from 2 is that if you can cheat death by dying and being revived, like Kimberly,
The
then that,
only confirmed survivor of this entire series,
yes, they
she
dropped
need
that too.
she was honestly my least favorite part
I
about part 2,
know.
but she has to come back in a
She's
sequel, right?
still she's still actively acting, the
Good for her.
actress. Yeah, so I mean she could. Um, and then the other one from 5, which is my favorite rule, is that if you kill someone, you get whatever lifespan they had left, which we still haven't established if that puts you to immortality, like life. Because I mean, if you're 30 and you kill an infant and they were going to be living till, you know, 85, does that put you like past 100? How does that work?
Can I stack? Like, can I push like a bunch of infants off a boat and
Yeah.
live forever?
Do serial killers just have endless lives, Like I I just don't understand how that works. Or does it swap out? If you kill one person that only had a year left and then you kill someone else and they had 30 years left, then you get the it's complicated, but it's my favorite rule because it makes people question their fucking moral compass real quick when it's your life or someone else's. So I like those rules that they kept.
Didn't you love that exchange of Eric and what's the other brother's
Bobby.
name? Bobby, and just saying all the babies?
I love it. They're like, no, but
Uh,
no, that's my favorite humor is between those two brothers. I think that they did a good job with that. It's silly, it's fun, and it's dark.
I agree.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the rules are simplest in this movie, simplest and
Yes.
clearest,
Very
where
clear and consistent.
and also beyond the premonition part, it's like, I remember all these other movies, like, yeah, okay, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, like, also, like, had, like, the photos, and they
Hmm.
showed, like, not even hints, like, barely fucking hints. But at least Stephanie gets, and sometimes comedically, like, gets it, like, way right. When she
Oh
knows that
yeah,
something's
they
about to
that's really
happen,
fun. Yeah.
like whether it's
It,
seeing the glass shard or like just straight up
mhm.
calling someone's death. I would have liked to. see a little bit more of that because I don't know if she gets if she gets those same hints like when Eric and Bobby die,
No, there
but
was the only one she really hits the nail on the head with is with
Julia.
Julia. Like that was like literally play by play of everything that would happen, which I think is really funny. And I think that's one of those like death just having a really good time, like just setting that whole thing up. Do we want to run through this family tree before we start talking about the characters individually?
Or at least let's talk through the characters in the family tree before we get to their deaths.
Okay.
Um, so Iris, right? Iris
Mhm.
survives.
Mhm.
I mean, the whole premise of this movie, which I guess I kind of appreciate, is that, you know, like any just slow moving bureaucracy, death, hey, death is defunded to only one person, can
Yeah,
only
it's got the whole world to handle.
a whole world handle. And I only
Mhm.
say person because I don't know. I need to rewatch the other movies to confirm. But when Iris as an old lady refers to death repeatedly as him,
Ugh, I don't like
um,
that.
I
They
was
gendered
like,
death. They didn't gender death in the previous films.
it was always it, right?
Yeah, it was just death,
Yeah.
like as a entity, not as a he or she. So I didn't really like that they did that. I think they could have just left it, but yeah, Iris decides that death is a he.
So essentially, not only did Iris save everybody, but saved so many people.
Hmm.
Because whereas in the original movies, like the person that has the premonition really only saves like 6 to 8 people, maybe,
Hmm.
and everyone else just dies. Whereas when Iris saves everyone, it death is like, oh Jesus, you know how long it's going to take me to
It's
process
like
this?
that is hundreds of people.
And then just like off and just like it's just like a spill that just keeps spreading and then gets in like the cracks and you're just like ah Jesus no
Like when
they're
you get
fucking
ants,
and they're having
they're just
babies god damn it like
yeah.
hold on come back because then you start having all of these people that are supposed to
Hmm.
be dead having children and their children having children none of which should have existed.
Yep.
I like that where death is like no not only am I going to kill you
I'm clean
but
up this whole mess.
yeah. So we have our kind of main timeline where essentially Iris in this fake Space Needle explosion, Iris is the second to last person to die, which is
Hmm.
also interesting because usually it's the person having the premonition that's the last one to die.
Hmm.
In this case, it's William Bloodworth.
Hmm.
So she survives and is essentially like her and William Bloodworth are the last two left in death trying to clean up that
Hmm.
whole mess from
And
the 60s.
important to note that Paul did survive
Right.
um in real time because otherwise Iris wouldn't have been able to continue on to have two children. Because I kind of missed that point in the first watch. I was like, how did she end up with two kids without her husband? Because they say after dad died. And I was like, what? Did she have twins? And then I realized it was like, oh no, Paul lived for a little bit, um, had some kids, and then death came for him.
So she has two kids,
Darlene.
Darlene and Howard,
Hmm.
right?
Love
And
Howard.
yeah, Howard's really fun. Um, Howard gives me like, who's the dude that plays Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore?
I
He
don't
gives
remember, but yeah, kind of.
he
Yeah.
gives me kind of those vibes, just with the
Yeah.
beard.
He
He's a
gives me
nice guy.
like sitcom dad vibes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Um, so Darlene has two children, right? Which are Stephanie and Charlie. And
Yes.
then Howard has three kids, Julia, Bobby, and Eric. Well, Julia
Hmm.
and Bobby. Love this.
Well, yeah, we'll get there. Also, and so Darlene is with or had her children with Marty, who's their divorced dad, and then you've got Howard and Brenda, who have Julie or Eric, Julia,
Julia and
Bobby.
Bobby.
I'm trying to say them in age order. So that's your family tree.
Yeah, so basically death is like we need to take out the older sibling and go through their children between Howard and Darlene. So it goes for Howard and then all of Howard's kids, and
Which
then Darlene and then Darlene's kids afterwards, which I'm kind of like,
it
okay, I
doesn't
thought you
make
would have been like,
sense. Who
I
was
would have thought
born
it'd be,
first? Age order. Maybe you go back and forth. Like it makes sense to do Darlene and Howard first and then go through their kids. And they clearly did that for storytelling purposes in order of kill, like for a fun effect. But I
yeah.
I really think that was something that really fucking bothered me. I don't know why I couldn't get past it. Luckily they make up for it with, you know, some of the later reveals, but um I'd like to talk about you do you want to talk about Stephanie first?
Well, I mean, at least I was just gonna say, I like this family. I like this cast.
I like the
I,
cast.
I cared when certain people died. That is
Hmm.
very new for me in this
Oh, you did?
franchise.
Okay. I'm so curious to hear who.
Just because the movie just takes the time to make them relatable and
Oh,
make them
let's talk about that. How much time this movie does take to make them relatable. Because what I would like to argue is that it does not. So, for all the time that we spend with this family, okay, I know nothing about Julia. Fucking nothing. Name one characteristic of Julia other than her lineage.
and she's become the surrogate sister essentially to Charlie, filling in the place of when
Sure.
was Stephanie was gone.
We could learn that. We
Um,
learned that in 1 minute.
yeah, I mean that's all you need to know. You didn't even have to
Yeah.
share that. But again,
Yeah.
that's just another wrinkle in where they are. She used to be very, very close to Stephanie, and then
hmm
Stephanie's bailed, right? So I don't know. And Julia
And
dies early on, so
she's the worst. And then you've got Bobby,
love
who's
Bobby.
identifying. I love Bobby as a personality, but all we know about Bobby is that he has a peanut allergy, a
Not
very
if you're
serious
Darlene.
one. Not if you're
Lit
Darlene. Darlene's doing death's work for him.
Darlene forgot literally the only character trait, the one
Of
character trait of
Bobby,
Bobby
the
is,
one
well,
thing.
two, he's frightened and has a peanut allergy.
Yes, the characters that you learn the most about are Darlene, Howard, and Iris, and maybe a little bit of Brenda.
I
Being
don't know. I think you get a lot with Eric,
Eric
and
too. So this is the difference, though. This is where people are getting confused. The difference between their actual, yeah, you too. The difference between their characteristics and things about them, backstory about them, versus them having personality. Now, their Bobby does so much with so little. Like his personality trait is I have a peanut allergy and I'm close with my brother. And he works it. Like I think he does a great job with it, but I don't think we needed as much time to establish this short list of facts that we took. I got bored at one point. I was like, I'm gonna need somebody to die like now. It was I was getting bored in between kills when we were learning it a little bit too much. The barbecue scene goes on a little long. I think it's real sweet that we get to know this family, but I know they're all gonna die. So that was actually a big complaint for me. I don't need backstory. I just need dumb jock's girlfriend, artsy girl. Like I just need to know your fucking whatever your little facade is, and that's it. Um, so for me, that was actually it's one of the big things I don't like about this movie, which is what everyone loves about this movie. So I think we could have shortened it up a little bit with that.
character work. You're like, no, no,
Yep.
no, no, thank you.
I didn't
I
need
don't
I
need to
didn't need
relate
it.
to these people.
Mm-mm.
And
Nope.
that's where, I was kind of hinting at a little earlier, where it's like, I understand why this movie gets is as well received as it is. 100%, especially from like,
Yeah.
non-horror fans, because
Mm-hmm.
it is competently written, it is
Mm-hmm.
very well acted, gets you invested in these characters, and then when they die, it's in a traditional Final Destination fashion. Like,
But it's not sad. They still do a good job of playing it for laughs and making it fun.
but I
Like,
feel it. I feel bad for all of these people when they die.
oh,
Whereas
see, I didn't.
Yeah, but I think that is really kind of more of a reflection on you. I think
Well,
it sounds kind of like a you problem than
it
anything
does.
else.
It definitely does. And like what I will say is that I do enjoy most of these characters and I I enjoy watching them die just as much, but I didn't feel like an emotional pull when any of them died. So I don't know if that's what they were trying to get out of it. It didn't seem like it was. So that was where my confusion was on like the tone of this movie, of like this deep backstory with Stephanie and her mom and her being absent and, how she was raised by Iris and all of that. I'm like, it it's a lot that I didn't need to know, and it didn't attach me to these characters. I could not wait for Darlene to die. I could not wait. I was like, you are a terrible person. You deserve everything that's coming to you. Like it, so that's my hot take of the day. I have more in my back pocket, but
A little bit. Hmm, I disagree, and but it's
it's
not a
fine.
hill I'm gonna die on because I think that ultimately this is still a Final Destination movie, so it's not like we're like
Yeah.
doing like a huge character study on intergenerational
Yeah.
family trauma, you know.
Exactly. Like
I hear you, but
it's not what I come to the theater for when I'm going to see a Final Destination movie.
and I guess I just don't, yeah, like I'd say I watch this, like I like these people. I would go have a good time at that backyard barbecue talking with all of these people. I don't know,
No, no.
but
I'm not saying I dislike the characters. I'm saying I didn't need to know as much about some of these characters as I learned. So it's that's what it is.
you said you had some thoughts on Stephanie in particular.
You want me to keep going to
Yeah.
negativity?
Go for it, because I
Okay.
like Stephanie, and I will tell you right now, she is the best protagonist in the entire series.
Now, that I agree with. I feel bad for anyone who's cast as the protagonist in these series because you literally have one job, and it is to have a premonition, figure out what the fuck's going on, try to convince everybody, and die last.
Hmm.
So, knowing that formula, I think Stephanie is one of the best protagonists, but I still she that her acting's great. I do think that this actress does a great job. Like her eye work with like the way she reacts to things is
Hmm.
excellent. But Stephanie herself as a character is, we get it. You're having a hard time. You can't sleep. You're on academic probation. You're sad that your brother has moved on and feels abandoned. You're worried if you're just like your deadbeat mom. Yeah, then we have to deal with her issues with her deadbeat mom. Like it's too much going on. I know nothing about Kimberly. I'm
I
fine
don't,
with that. I just I think that's what it is like for Stephanie, she just for all the things that we learn about her and all the time that we have to spend with her, she's very boring. And if I'm going to have to deal with a Final Destination protagonist, like I don't want to deal with them longer than anyone else really. Like
hmm,
I like to see them interact in a group, which they do a good job of in this movie.
I don't know. I personally liked Stephanie in this one. Um, but I think even like the movie kind of jokes on it too, where she's like, I've got something serious to tell you, Charlie. I'm on academic probation. And
Yeah.
then he just kind of laughs at her. And then the rest of the people just laugh at her. They're like, oh my gosh, whatever. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I liked their relationship. And just, yeah, I don't know, the whole family. I don't know.
I
So
like that she's our first protagonist of color.
true.
Mm-hmm. That mixed things up.
Let's talk about some deaths here. Um, and maybe we can talk about some standouts and our favorites. And
Yeah.
maybe if there's a least favorite you have. So, of course, you've got everything that happens in the beginning, which all gets redacted because Iris saves everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then your first death is Iris herself,
Hmm.
which I'm kind of like, I know, yeah,
She had to
sure.
die.
Seeing is believing that she had to die, but also her staying alive. also still protected everybody. So
For
I
at
feel like they're,
least however long it took cancer to kill her.
yeah, I like that. Just like, ah, death, you got me.
Yeah,
Cancer. And I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, see, like, okay, like, can death just do that instead of like decapitating me in a fucking drive-through?
I feel like that was a last option for Death. He was like, damn, this bitch is really riding this out. She's got a fortress. It's like I guess I'm gonna have to go internal on this one instead of external. But
I
old
guess.
old Kooky Iris is so
Pretty fun.
good. She's real fun. Like she's talking with Death as if they're like an old married couple that just hates each other.
Oh yeah, yeah. It reminded me of like Billy Crystal in Princess Bride.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know
she's
why.
she's great. The old Iris is really fun. And, her death had to set everything into motion. I think her death is real fun. I like it.
Yeah. Just
I like
smash
the
through the
blood.
face.
Yeah, the blood like on Stephanie because it is so much blood.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So that's pretty fun.
Would have liked to see more brain pieces on her face.
Yeah, but it goes through like the middle of her face, kind of through her mouth, where it just
Oh, I guess you're
separates her
right.
jaw, which is really fun. Um,
Got a piece of tongue there on her cheek there. I don't know.
yeah. Like with her fortress, if we want to touch on that, how is something with all those spikes around and like those high poles, like or posts that have those lights on them, those like giant lights, how is that keeping her safe? Like, I feel like that place should have blown up a long time ago.
Like that place feels more like what Laurie Strode was trying to build in those
Yeah.
Halloween movies. It's like, who are you defending against and who are you
Yeah.
protecting when you're just, I don't know. Like I think of just like, oh, just do what Clear Rivers did and just go to, because
Yes.
literally she was fine until
A
the second
padded
she
room.
left.
Yep.
Because even as you see, like Death like still figures out ways to try and fuck with her inside the room. She's like, ha
Hmm.
ha, ha, I see you, fucker, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't understand this, nor did I really care for returning to this place later on in the final set piece of the movie.
Yeah. I agree. Returning to the fortress seemed like they paid a lot for for that set and they needed to use it more than they did. I think that kind of feels like, and then they don't even go back inside the fortress. They just blow that shit up. But yeah.
Iris, I hope you put that property in your will if you're thinking that much about death,
Yeah,
because
yeah, that's true. Hopefully she set that up. I
not
don't
that
know
she
what
has
she would have
anyone
left.
or who's left to give it to, I
Hmm.
suppose.
Yeah.
Hmm. And you've got Howard. That's a fun one. The whole set piece is fun. It's we saw this because it was basically there's two trailers that came out for this
Mm.
movie. One of them was the tattoo parlor, which happens after this, and then one of them is this whole backyard scene,
I'm
which
glad I didn't watch that one because I only saw the tattoo parlor teaser. I didn't watch the other trailers. So this was
literally
all
a
new to
teaser
me.
because there's
Yeah.
no death.
Yeah. No, I
So
think that was such a smart marketing move because I thought they were spoiling it for us all.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, I mean Howard stuff's good. I love a good lawnmower to the face
Oh yeah, it's good. I love that they play with this shard of glass
and the
and
ice.
throw it like into the drinks. They do a couple fake outs on like Julia choking. You hear
Howard
Howard
making the crunching
chew.
sound.
Oh,
Do you crunch
that
on your ice? Do you do that? I do
well
sometimes.
no, the dentist told me that I'm not allowed. So
Okay.
I listen because the dentist is expensive. Um, but when the way that they used the sound design in that, it sounds like what it sounds like from inside your head to
Yeah.
chew ice. You know what I mean? That I was really impressed with. And like you really couldn't tell if it was ice or if it was going to be the glass, but I liked that little fake out. But then it turns out that he steps on it, which visually, oh, going through that foot. That
Man,
was
and
rough.
Darlene moving that rake out of the way and
She thought she was
ended
saving the
up,
day.
yeah.
Opposite. Killed her own brother. Yeah, so Howard's death is really fun. It's funny that it's the first one in the way that it's not because everyone loves Howard.
Mhm.
So him being the first one to go is sad, but it's a fun death for sure.
Both Iris and Howard, post death, I thought was really funny. Movies tend to do that where you have these like jump cuts to funerals.
Yes. I love
And
the
I
jump cuts to funerals.
and I was like, are we gonna do this every time? It's super fun. Whew,
Hmm.
you wouldn't have an open casket for either of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's real bad.
I mean, the fact that they even have a casket seems like an interesting choice. I don't know what's going in there.
Um, you also have the first, like at least extended fake out death. I
Hmm.
thought this was pretty fun because it's like, you're the sixth movie in, right? So you have to subvert
Hmm.
expectations somehow, right?
Yeah.
And this whole part with Eric in the tattoo parlor, um,
Mm.
was great. I love it.
It's it's great. And I'm so surprised I didn't suspect that he wasn't actually dead because you don't see him die, and they've never done that in
Right.
this
You need to
franchise.
see all of it when they die.
Yes, but I did think he was dead since he was next in line. But can I just tell you, as someone who has their septum pierced, that's the ring that Eric has in his nose.
Mhm.
When that chain hooked to that piercing and you just see that chain going up, I felt it. Like there have been times where like I pulled on, the ring a little bit hard and like you feel like that like pressure. I can't even imagine how fucking scared I would be if that chain was attached to my face. So I like really was feeling for Eric in that moment. I do also like the humor of this scene for Eric. He has his tattoo mix, which is like the like metal, and then he switches to Eric's sad mix.
Yeah. Any tattoos, Dad?
Yes,
Oh,
in the old English. I love that. And then I do think it's fun that he gets branded with the little heart on his tattoo and he's like, this is fucking badass.
even like on his phone, like the home screen is like this real cute picture of him and Howard.
I know Howard kissing him on the cheek. Like it's so much funnier that Howard is not his biological father because it's so clear that they had an amazing relationship. So I what I like about Eric is that I'm like, here's a character that I like. What I love about Eric is he seems like he should be the character that doesn't believe what's going on the whole movie till he dies and is a total asshole, but he's not. He
Yeah.
we don't have like a fucking jock asshole bully in this movie and we don't need it. So it that part is fun. Like I like that he gets to be that like comic relief even.
And he just loves his brother. Even he's like, oh,
I know
he,
he loves Bobby so much, way more than he loves Julia, clearly.
yeah, I know. And so again, you have this fake out because you find out that Howard is not actually Eric's dad.
Hmm.
I just wrote a note. I'm like, who the fuck is Jerry Fenbury? Because
I he knew who Jerry Fenbury was. Anytime your daddy isn't your daddy, you know your real daddy. You just didn't know it that he was the one because that motherfucker is around the house.
man, do you think Jerry's gonna start sniffing around, being like, so Howard's out of the picture?
Yeah.
What's going
Brenda
on?
Brenda survived. She's got no family now.
Yeah, dude. Brendan and what's the name of the dad?
Marty.
Marty. Yeah,
They're free
they're free.
of this fucked
Get to
up
start
cursed families.
get to start new. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, depressing for them, really. But um,
Oh, but
yeah, the reveal on that both times in the theater, the audience delivered on their reactions because like I knew it was coming. As soon as I saw Eric was alive, I was like, "Oh, Howard's not his dad." I fucking knew it. And as so I was one step ahead. Then when they reveal it, my whole audience was like, "Oh shit!" Like people were gasping and oohing and eyeing. It was so fun.
But again, it's like, yeah, like how do you subvert expectations in a movie like this? And it's like, well, fuck with
Hmm.
the formula. Find
Yeah,
out halfway through, someone who you thought was going to die actually has nothing to do with this.
yeah,
But
super fun.
it is one of the few movies, if or I don't think if I don't know if any of the other characters, if it goes into this with any of the characters, but there's that other rule is don't fuck with death. It's going to
Don't
get
fuck with
messy.
it. Hmm.
And Eric did. So death is like, okay,
Well, fuck around and find out.
yeah, which who he did. If
Hmm.
man, I feel like the tattoo part really primed you.
Yeah.
You're thinking like this is going to be the worst piercing related thing I'm going to see in this
Yep.
movie. And then nope.
Yeah, they do a really good job of getting that, like I said, like that visceral feeling of like I could relate to that pulling of the ring. And then, you know, just I have a lot of piercings in my ears. I wear large earrings. My shit gets caught on things all the time. I've yet to rip out any piercings, but like I've gotten my belly button ring stuck on like my pants before, and I thought that I was going to tear that out.
Oh,
Like, yeah. So Eric's death, oh,
mm,
wow. It's a good one, and I know MRI machines are not capable of these superhuman capabilities, but that's another fun thing about this franchise is they take things that, are real life things and have, you can't bring a metal into an MRI machine. That's real, but because it does work with magnets, but it's not to that extent that it would be pulling things from the hallway in like, override mode, experimental mode, whatever it is. But his death is fun too because it's also the poster. It's the movie poster. His skull tattoo on his stomach when the wheelchair poles come through it. That's the skull with the pipes like going through. And I was like, oh, that's super fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do magnets work anyway, right?
Yeah.
To quote,
Is that an ICP reference?
yeah, thank you.
Sorry,
Um,
everyone.
so so it's not Eric yet.
It's not Eric
Now
yet. We skipped ahead, but
Julia is the next in line, and I
ugh,
think this is a fun death. I do like a good garbage truck death. We saw one in Child's Play 3. I think this
yes.
one was better because I do like seeing her just skull just pop.
I know. I couldn't decide if I like the way it looks or not. I really like the arm though. Like it looks
Yeah.
like when you have like a chicken leg, like and you can see
Hmm.
that like edge of bone. It's pretty nasty, but I love that she's like screaming, looking directly at Stephanie while her head is being crushed. Can you imagine the trauma?
Yeah. And it was I just thought it was really funny. Like, you know, because she thinks, because Stephanie and Charlie keep thinking that Eric's going to be the one to die, and Eric's just being like,
Hmm.
"Nah, I can live forever. I'm just fucking around this and this and this and this,"
Hmm.
and it's like, what's going to happen? She's like, I don't know. Like maybe this this rake's going to fall over and it's going to hit that guy with the leaf blower and it's going to go haywire and it's going to blow leaves in the kid's faces kicking that soccer ball and then this is going to happen and she like calls it like shot for shot.
Yeah.
I love that. And you see it all
She
in the background when Julia goes on a run and you see each thing
I
happen.
love it. Yeah.
It
That background shot is really fun
Yeah.
because they don't realize that it's happening until like boop, she goes into that trash can. They had to do it that way, I think. It's because it's funny. It works on like two ways. It's funny and it moves the plot so that everybody's like, okay, she's fucking right. Like she called that shit.
and The I think either way, that family I think would easily win a lawsuit against the garbage truck company or whatever. Because that dude, you do not need to be blasting Kelly Clarkson on
Scrolling on your phone.
headphones, scrolling, swiping left and right, or
Mm-hmm.
whichever. my guy, like that'd be an easy
Yeah,
no-brainer lawsuit. That dude be
terrible.
fucked forever. And so Julia, yeah, her death is it's my backup favorite. It
Oh,
wasn't the first time
interesting.
around. Watching it the second time,
The lead up
that,
to it, the whole sequence is really
yeah,
good.
because I
Yeah,
have a feeling we're gonna have a similar favorite.
probably.
And
I think
which
it's good that Julia died when she did as well because there's really nothing for her to do or to add to this movie. Like
right.
nothing against the actress, she's totally fine. But
And you have
she
such a
she deserved
strong
to go.
relationship between Bobby and Eric that you don't
Yes.
need a third sibling at that
No.
point.
Yeah, she was for death, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, when Bobby realizes he's the next one and just the look of just worry on his face throughout the
Dread.
rest of the movie, poor guy. I love that. But they're like, "Hey, we know someone who's a survivor. Let's go find them." That's when they connect with
Hmm.
William Bloodworth. And
Hmm.
then you have these set pieces in the hospital with this MRI machine.
Hmm.
And
Their whole
I
plan, honestly, Eric's plan isn't the worst plan. Like, they
think
are in a hospital.
I think I would have taken one of those babies, to be honest. I'm sorry. All babies look the same, dude. There's no one's gonna know who's who, and I
I
don't know.
honestly, in that desperate of a circumstance, I would also consider the baby.
I would take the what would look to be the wealthiest, whitest baby.
The wealthiest, whitest, and healthiest. Because if it looks like a healthy baby too, then probably it was a good pregnancy. Mom could get another one out. Like she
Yeah.
can try again. You know, we don't know the circumstances of these babies, but yeah, I think that would have been their easiest and best plan. But I mean, not easiest maybe morally or emotionally, but logistically. And then this plan of using his allergy to knock him off and then wake him back up. But I honestly, I don't know how that works. Like, it feels different than like didn't the same shit happen to Kimberly? Oh, but her heart stopped. She drowned, but her heart stopped.
Right.
So that was the difference. So I'm like, if your heart stops from dying of an allergy, like he's gasping for air for a while. His brain is not getting oxygen for quite a bit.
Yeah. So even if he comes back,
You could have
that
brain damage.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, this whole death, both of
It's a
them.
fun, it's a fun fake out too.
It's a fun fake out. I like well, the first fake out was them shaking that vending machine,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I do like how Bobby was like, "Oh, bro, get this fucking unsalted peanut shit. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Give me if you're gonna make me do this, give me the good shit. Give
Yeah.
me those knockoff Reese's cups."
Yes.
And
I agree with him. Like if it's possible that he would just die and not be revived, so you might as well have something tasty as the thing that kills you.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
give
I
me
agree.
some peanut butter cocoa puffs,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll
They
see.
I can't stress enough because I will talk a lot of shit on this movie. This whole sequence at the hospital with Eric and Bobby and how they interact and how they communicate, these two actors vibe off of each other so well and like their characters fit them so well. The lines, like the dialogue's good, like all of it, the humor, the dark parts, all of it works. Like this is what I wanted out of this entire movie was like this level of camp and outrageousness. And it doesn't deliver the whole time, but it has more subtle humor in other places. But I really enjoy these interactions between Bobby and Eric. And I absolutely love that you kind of think that the peanut allergy is going to be the thing that kills Bobby. But wow, when that spiral thing goes through
And just
his
keeps
head
turning,
and it turns like
corkscrewing through his head.
it could have stabbed him straight through, but no, it corkscrews and that is super duper fun. And then they all walk into it. That was pretty exciting. I like that we went back to the vending machine.
And then Eric with all the piercings getting ripped out of him from the MRI
Because
machine, of
he's
course, from his
pierced
nipples,
everywhere.
from his dick. I thought you were going to see the ring pull out from the pants.
I wanted to see what I would have loved to see. And this isn't pervy, it's just anatomy, science. What I would have loved to see is the ring go through the pants with just a little bit of foreskin, like just a little bit off the tip. That would
Yeah,
have been really
just
fun.
the tip. Yeah.
Just the tip, just a little tip. Like it doesn't have to be shaped like
Oh
a penis.
no.
It doesn't have to be shaped like a penis because we can't get into, like a different rating for the movie. But just like just a chunk of skin just hanging on that ring. I would have loved to see a little bit of that dick meat, but it's okay.
Oh God. Um, yeah, it was pretty traumatic. I mean, and then honestly, from then on out, like you only have like how many characters left? You've got
My three least
Darlene,
favorite.
yeah, Darlene and Charlie and Stephanie.
Hmm.
They want to go back to this fucking fortress. Of course, obviously it does not go well
Yeah.
immediately. And Darlene kind of dies. It just, like a pole just lands on her face and kills her, whatever. Um, and then you have the other two that die, of course, at the end of the movie.
Hmm.
But um,
They do so much risky behavior to try to get into this fortress that I can't even feel bad for Darlene. I appreciate that she's willing to sacrifice her freedom to avoid death so that they can live full lives. But like they ram through that front gate with that RV and she's sitting in the back like with a clear shot to the front windshield with no seatbelt on. I'm surprised she didn't fucking just fly through. It it feels like that felt very silly to me. I didn't care about anything that happened at this in this like final set piece. And she also gets like she dies mid-sentence saying I'm going to stay alive as long as I can or whatever she's saying, and she gets that quick unexpected kill, which we always get at least one in every Final Destination movie. Um but yeah, everything else is just kind of fine.
and then Stephanie is almost drowning. Charlie does save her, and and they think they did it. They were like, "Hey, cool!" Just like how
Yeah.
what's her face did it in
Yeah.
Final Destination 2. We got it. She's
Hmm.
back. I did think it was funny at the end. What a dick this guy. But I
This
appreciate him
doctor.
giving him a little bit of heads up. So they think that they've solved everything and they've saved the day. Charlie's picking up his prom date that lives like three doors down. They like telling this story and like, wow, you know. Damn. Charlie saved the day,
Like
huh?
he
Yeah,
brought
look
me
at
back to
him.
life. She said, because she says he brought me back to life.
Or back, yeah, yeah, or brought me back from the dead or something like
Yeah.
that. And he's like, hmm,
Mm. I love the sound he makes. He's like,
nah,
yeah,
not technically. To which I'm like, no, dude, you just nod and go like,
yeah.
sure.
A teenager fucking like saved his sister from drowning. Yes. Like she may have died if he didn't do what did he
Yeah,
like
way to
CPR?
belittle her or belittle
Yeah.
him. It's like, did you though? You didn't really do that, but
Yeah,
sure.
he's like, but good job, he says.
Yeah, pat on the head. But good job, though.
What's interesting about this, like before their deaths, it's almost as if like some sort of like time warp situation is going on because so if you notice, they're in the same neighborhood that Iris and Paul drive through in the beginning. Like that was they show those same style houses in the
Uh-huh.
60s. And then you see that red car drive over the train tracks just as Iris and Paul did. And then you see it again in the neighborhood, like as if we didn't fucking catch it the first time. But I was that like supposed to be some weird linear timeline going on, or is that just them just seeing
What
her
goes
seeing
around comes
familiar
around.
things?
It
Yeah.
all comes back. So, I don't know. I didn't catch any of that. Um,
Yeah, I didn't catch it the first time. I caught it this time, but also can a penny derail a train? Because that's concerning.
well, that's a whole thing. Don't Leave a penny on a railroad track.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, well, yeah, people do that. Well, I mean, but it doesn't derail trains usually, but
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, does everyone just know not to put pennies on railroad tracks?
yeah. And especially now in 2025, like, are pennies still in circulation? What are we still doing with
They
pennies?
sure are.
I
I
get why that old lady was like, "Oh my God." You know how it was just the most exhausting part of that movie is at the end where you have this old lady trying to buy a cookie from this
mm,
lemonade stand. It's 75 cents and she opens up her little coin purse and it's like all
fuck
pennies.
her.
And I'm like, this
Fuck
fucking bitch is
her.
gonna count out 75 pennies, isn't she?
And
What
these
a
kids, you know those kids don't want those fucking pennies. I wouldn't be
oh
surprised
my
if they
God.
threw them away. Like I love the penny carry through too, and this just like excited old lady because when she finds that penny, she is tickled. Like she's looking like she just fucking found $100 bill. She's
Yeah.
so excited. She put that shit in her coin purse and was like, "I'm gonna need this later."
Oh my God. And yeah, you derail this train, and then I just like that at the end, it's like they are able to escape like this whole fucking train derailment, and
Yeah.
they're like, okay, we're
Oh, they're
good.
like they're like that was a close one. Like they even like laugh a little bit too. Like
Yeah.
I liked that little pause there.
And then the movie ends with like a bunch of fucking logs that were being carried, just fucking falling through and just smashing them. And it's almost just like, ha, remember motherfuckers? We all know how much you love Final Destination 2 and all those goddamn logs. They're
This
back,
the
baby.
the log trauma, like it
Lots of
it
log
really
trauma.
affected us. So I hope that like people I think about like, these like the younger kids that went to go see this or your future sister-in-law slash our mutual friend who jumped into this movie first. I'm like, hopefully you've seen enough things on the internet that you get the log reference because it's a fun little callback. We know how much trauma it caused a generation of people, and it's just super fun. I think that was really because you knew they were going to die, but the logs popping out was pretty fun.
Out of all the deaths that we just listed, what's your favorite?
Ooh, you're gonna make me go first? Okay.
Yeah,
Gosh, it's such a close first and second for me, but my favorite is Eric.
gotta be,
I
right?
they fake you out twice. I almost forgot. There's a second fake out for Eric when he walks into the street when he's mouthing off and that car almost hits him, which we've seen happen in this franchise multiple
Yeah.
times. You get two fake outs for Eric. He's definitely the standout character of this movie, and he gets a fucking brutal, awesome death. I love the piercings flying out. I love that he's not even intended to be killed, but death is like, this is what happens. Like you're messing with me. You're getting in with the way of my plan. And again, the throwback to the poster because I'm looking at these movie posters all the time. I'm reading the taglines, all the things. And so I'm like, where does this skull with these poles factor in? Like what how are they going to pull this off? But it's not an actual head. It's his stomach with the wheelchair poles. So that is just so fun. And I also love the outrageousness of this fucking MRI machine. Like my mom's in the medical field. I've encountered MRI machines often enough that I know how they work, and that is not how they work. So that shit is it was hilarious, it's fun, it's brutal, it delivers on a level that I was like, this is what I needed out of this movie. I remember that was the minute that I was like, okay, I'm back in this when I saw that death. So that's my favorite. Which one is yours?
You said you were something was tied for
Oh,
second.
you want
Want to
my
share it?
backup is
I'd like to.
okay. My backup death is Bobby. I
Yeah.
I also the two deaths back to back are just your brain is barely comprehending what just happened to Eric. And then you jump right into fucking Bobby and that seeing that coil spin through his head, I would not have I expected maybe the coil might come back into play, but I did not expect for it to just screw into his fucking brain. And I also think the special effects on both of these kills are really good. I think they invested a lot of time into these. So that's my second favorite. And also I just love Bobby as a character too. So these two characters being the favorites and getting the best deaths, those are my top two.
I agree with you in that, I mean, the whole set piece is awesome.
Hmm.
Eric is very clearly, I think, the best death with the MRI machine. It's
Yes.
so
Oh,
good.
so good.
I will, like I mentioned earlier, I'll give a shout out to Julia's death. I liked it better the second
Hmm.
time around. I don't know
I
if I
did
like the
too.
CG as much
Yeah.
the first time around, and but I liked it. I thought it was really funny. Just the whole
I
set
also,
piece of it.
the first time around, I don't think I caught each beat of what was going on in the background because I was focused on those characters. So I didn't fully notice until the soccer ball hits her and she flipped into the trash can. So on a second watch, I knew to watch the background instead. That's why these movies can be fun to watch in that way. But they shot that shit real well. I think it Julia is a good one too. It's unique compared to a lot of like I mean it's the only death I think in this franchise that does something like that where it's so far off screen happening.
Before we get into boost scores, before we get into ranking, instead of some bloodlines,
Stupid.
I'd love to hear some taglines.
Okay. This movie has three taglines.
Okay.
Do you know any of them?
Um, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'll quote the Kelly Clarkson song. Is that one of them?
That would have been kind of funny if they did that, but they probably would have had to deal with
Or what
rights
doesn't kill
issues.
you kills you longer.
That's stupid.
Thank you. Well, look.
I mean, some of these deaths are kind of drawn out, but the one that I saw the most was Death Runs in the Family.
Yeah,
Yeah. Then you have Life is a Death Trap, which
sure.
I think is kind of cute.
Yeah.
And the third one, to quote our boy Tony Todd, if you screw with death's plans, things can get very messy.
Oh, did they change fuck to screw?
Yeah, because it's
I guess that makes
tagline.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad he got a good curse word in too, because there's something about the way that Tony Todd delivers the word fuck that is uh, just so
Chef's
good.
kiss.
Yeah,
So good.
chef's kiss. Yeah, everything he does is so good. That's your taglines.
Love it. So, boo scores. Can you remind me how I've ranked them so far? Or how what my boo scores are at least?
Yeah, I'll give you your ranking as well as boo scores. Do you want, I'll just go in order. So,
Sure.
Final Destination 2 in your top spot at 2.5 boos. Final
What? Two,
Destination. Yeah,
I said
uh-huh.
two and a half, and it's my top one.
I was surprised by that too. And you know what? I fucked up my log of your boo scores before. Um, but that's what you had.
Okay.
But when you hear your other boo scores, it will make more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? Final Destination, keeping in mind our first episode. So
Yeah.
not a refined boo scale that we had going on. 3.5 boos.
Okay.
Okay. Final Destination 3, 1.5 boos.
Yeah.
Final Destination 5, 2 boos.
Okay.
And Final Destination 4, 0.5 boos, half a boo. That's Kyle's lowest boo score of all
Still
the movies
maybe
we've covered.
still maybe too much.
That's a brutal score.
Yeah.
But that's where you land as of today.
Okay. And how about yours before I go into my boo score?
Mine currently, my current ratings before this movie is Final Destination at 3.5 boos, Final Destination 5 at 2.5 boos, Final Destination 2 at 1.5 boos, Final Destination 3 at one boo, and Final Destination 4 at one boo. Oh, I
Okay.
said that backwards. I said it backwards. Final Destination 4 with one boo, then 3 with one boo.
Okay. So I'm going to be very clear. My boo score and my ranking are just not going to be,
It's
it's
okay.
not going to make
This is a
sense.
complicated franchise.
So, because I would give, going back, I would give Final Destination 2 three boos,
You can't change it
probably.
now.
I can't
All right.
change it now, but at least I've got my rankings.
Yeah.
So, this movie, I don't know. I feel like I hinted at it a little bit, but like ultimately where I landed this movie is that like yes, objectively it is the best made top to bottom Final Destination
Hmm.
movie that's ever been released. That is, I think, just objectively true. To be honest. And yet I struggle with it because I'm like, I like these people too much. This these rules make too much sense. You
Yeah. It
know?
doesn't feel as
Like,
silly.
and I don't know. So it just feels so like separate from the others. Like it's just not as
Hmm.
it's not as mean or trashy, which I don't like about those movies. But I like so I like that they maybe I should like that this movie kind of avoids that a little bit. I don't know. Ultimately, though, it's a really fun movie. I do think hmm, the great deaths are great. The whatever ones are whatever. I don't think it's the best collection of deaths, but there's some
No.
good ones.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh, and it's not my favorite opening. It's still
Agreed.
going to be two, right? Um, it's so weird. Don't listen to my just, whatever. It's not going to make sense, but I am going to give this three boos.
Okay.
I think this movie is still a lot of fun. Why'd we wait 14 years? I don't know, but like,
Yeah, it was
let's,
too long. I with how much money this movie made,
yeah.
I think they've already been like, it hasn't been officially announced, but like there have already have been rumors of there will be a seven part
There
three.
has to be with the money this one's made.
Hmm.
Now that do you want me to go into my rankings or do you want to share your boo score first?
I will share my boost score first.
Okay.
Your boost score was a three.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure
Technically
that
my
I
highest ranked one.
no, Final
Or highest
Destination
boo rated one.
is your highest boo rating at 3.5.
Oh, right, right, right.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, my ranking's gonna make no sense.
Yeah. It, it's hard when we separate a franchise too, because
Hmm.
it that I think can throw things off quite a bit. So this movie for me, like you, I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. Like I feel like I was all over the place in how I talked about this movie, which is exactly how I felt when I was watching this movie. There were so many things that I was like, yes, yes, yes. This is totally what I wanted out of this. This is such a fun movie. And then there were other things where I was like, I need less of this. I need a shorter runtime. I need to know these characters less because I want to just have fun with it. And there was a lot of fun. Some things that I liked about it that I didn't mention. There's a Mortal Kombat reference in there, which is really fun because
Yes.
they did that like X-ray intro. Was that in the Final Destination?
I think they were doing it in like at least a couple movies at that point. That
Yeah, it's
and it reminded me of Mortal Kombat.
yes, everyone thought of Mortal Kombat. So I love that they gave that little nod to the connection of them and Mortal Kombat. So I thought that was really great. And the playing with the timeline or the family tree of who gets killed first and surprising you with Aunt Brenda's affair and Eric not being Howard's biological son, experiencing that with an audience was so fucking fun. Like I can't say that I've had that much fun in a theater in a long time. So it gets a major points for that. And it's Tony Todd's last film. And it fucking got me emotionally, like real hard real hard. So it gets major shout outs for that. But I don't like that they gendered death. I don't like the length of this movie. We spend too much time with these characters, as I said. Tonally, I feel like it doesn't quite pick a lane. Whereas even the shittier movies in this franchise, at least I know what I'm in for the entire movie as far as tone. You can surprise me, you can plot twist, you can have secret affairs, you can have crazy grandmas. All that's great, but I need a tone to like I won't rewatch this movie often because I won't know how, like, if I know what I'm going to feel going into a horror movie, that makes me want to rewatch it. I don't know what I feel going, like, coming out of this movie twice in a row. So there's that. And the final act kind of stinks. It kind of stinks. Like, it's boring. I don't care about Charlie. I don't care about Stephanie. I don't care about Darlene. So they can all kick it and it's fine. Um, but the train and the logs is a nice surprise. So that's my rant for this movie. With all that said, I'm gonna give it a solid 2.5 boos.
I thought you were going to go harder, to be honest.
You thought I was gonna go lower?
I think now let me ask, the first time you watched it, would you have had did you have a lower boo score than the second time?
I did. I think I sent you my boo score as well. It was 2 boos originally. I lifted it half a boo on the
Okay.
second watch because, like I said, I was able to see some things that I didn't quite notice the first time, like the sequence of Julia's death. That's really fun. Better
Yeah.
view of the elevator smush. Also, just absorbing more of the deaths in the opening scene because you're so distracted by the obvious ones like the piano smash and all of that. I like to watch what the people are doing in the background and seeing, more people on fire and things like that. So
Yeah.
I raised it half a boost score because it does have it's got a decent amount of death in it from that opening scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my ranking isn't going to make sense compared to looking at my boo scores,
Okay.
but nostalgia is a tricky beast, you know. So should I go from best to worst or worst to first?
Go worst to first.
Okay. So the absolute most garbage fucking movie in this franchise is Final Destination 4, The Final Destination. It's
Mhm.
absolute trash.
Okay.
Then I'm going to say, where am I ranking this again? Here we go. Then I'm going to say Final Destination 5.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go Final Destination 3.
Okay.
Then for third place, Bloodlines.
Okay.
Second place, Final Destination. First place, still, and will always be Final Destination 2.
Okay.
So that goes 2, 1, 6, 3, 5, 4.
2, 1, 6, 3, 5, 4.
Correct. Well, 2, 1, 6, 3, 5, dot, 4.
Obnoxious, but
Thanks.
fair.
Thank you. How about you?
All right. I'm gonna mix this shit up a little bit. You ready?
Love it.
So I did reflect a bit after watching Bloodlines this time around, and I actually went through and was like, okay, let me look at Final Destination 3 versus 4, my two bottom ranked films, and think about the characters and the deaths. And Cousin Vinny actually was what triggered this switch for my ranking because he had mentioned the tanning bed death in part 3, and
It's
I
a
was
good
like,
one.
damn, it is really fun. And I believe it was my favorite for part 3 as well. So I'm going to switch it up. At the bottom is going to be Final Destination 4,
Thank you.
which when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I was like, wasn't like half of it just people being racist?
Dude, yes. I'm like, there is
Like,
this movie, that movie is just irredeemable on so many accounts.
yeah,
It's so much of a chore to watch.
it,
It's
it, it
bad.
was. Yeah, it was. Then I'm going to place Final Destination 3.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I'm still keeping Final Destination 2 in my bottom half, even though it does have some good kills. Kimberly can I can't with her. So Final Destination 2. Then I'm gonna place Bloodlines in my third spot. Then Final Destination 5, which we firmly disagree on, obviously.
Yeah,
And then Final Destination.
I
So it
love that.
goes 1, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4.
I love how different our rankings are. That's great.
I know this one was a is very different. And like I think the most important thing about this franchise, if they keep putting out movies, like I said, I'll keep watching them. They all have something to see. And even if you don't rewatch them often, like I would recommend this franchise to watch with a group of people or a friend. Like it's fun to watch other people's reactions to them as well. If you're not a fan of gore, probably not for you, but um yeah, I think there's just a fun collection of movies.
It's not like gory in the sense where like I've seen some really just like visceral, awful, like practical
Slow
gore.
gore is different than this is fast gore.
Yeah, this is a lot of fast gore and just indiscernible blood chunks, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. But that's why
Yeah.
like Julia's arm was pretty brutal because that's probably the most like solid piece of flesh for like a minute on screen that you see. Like she's holding her arm. Oh, like that's the only time I feel for Stephanie because I'm like, if she made it through this, I would be having nightmares about Julia's fucking face and arm. Anytime someone tried to hold my hand, I'd be like, fuck you, don't touch my fucking arm.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, the trauma is too much.
Dang, I think we covered it.
Yeah.
If there's, I
We're
don't think
we're
there's
ready for
anything
part
else.
7.
Ready for part 7 whenever that
Yeah.
comes. Um, Dang.
I will
Check
I will
check in.
repost. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, no, no, you go ahead. You're gonna repost our new
I'm going
rankings.
to repost our new rankings and then I would love to hear everyone's rankings with Bloodlines included. And
Yeah.
also curious, like for anybody who jumped into this franchise at this movie, if you're going to go back and watch the rest of these movies because now you're curious, um, it's a whole journey. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, really the only word of advice is, call your parents, you know, and call your grandparents and find out, is there any sort of like mass death event that you avoided?
That you were
Or
tied to in any way.
yeah, or like was there some point where like you were somewhere and someone was just screaming like, everyone's gonna die, we need to stop, and then you stopped? Um think
Just,
about that and let
yeah,
me know, just so I can keep an eye out. So I don't know. That's all I got. How about you?
yeah, yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah. I always love talking about these movies and I love talking
Yeah.
about them with you. So even when they're bad, it's always enjoyable. So
Or even when we disagree.
oh, especially when we disagree.
Yeah, it can be more fun. Yeah.
Oh, your ranking is straight up unhinged.
Oh, please.
But I love
Please.
it. Outside
Let me
outside
know, everybody, let me know if you think my ranking is unhinged. Maybe it might not be the favorite ranking, but unhinged feels strong.
outside of having the first one is number one, which I'm like, that's respectable. That's fine.
Thank you.
Everything else is just what is going on.
Please. Get out of here.
I host a podcast with this person. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh darn goodness.
Yeah,
Um,
I represent your public image, so with my unhinged ranking.
yeah. That's all I got. Call your mom. Call your grandma.
Find out.
They'd love to hear from you anyway.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody. Three, two, one, ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on Final Destination Bloodlines. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to our podcast and leave us a killer review on whichever platform you choose to listen. You can find us on Instagram at 321 Ghost Pod and give us a follow. We would love to hear your Final Destination rankings. Follow us on Letterboxd at 321GhostPod to see our boo scores on all the movies we've covered so far. Next week, we're continuing our Chucky series with Don Mancini's Seed of Chucky. Thanks again for listening, and remember not to steal pennies out of fountains. It's bad luck. And so are dick piercings. 3, 2, 1, ghost.